Let's have a closer look at how differently teams are treating legality in Formula One and what potential there is. So let's say you are a small team with limited resources and want to design a wing. The regulations give you a box, the so-called reg box, which is 400 mm long in this example. When you are designing the wing, you need to consider production tolerances. And because your team doesn't have the best materials and machines, you need to work with higher tolerances. So you won't design a wing that is 400 mm long, instead you will keep a, let's say, 2 mm gap to the reg box, which means your wing is 396 mm long instead of 400 mm. That's very important, because if your team with limited resources is working on an update, it has to be legal, so you can use it on your car. Otherwise, it's a waste of time and money. And you don't have the resources to produce the parts in a legal version again, so you better are on the safe side. If a team with lots of capacities and resources is designing the same wing, they can work with much tighter production tolerances because they have the best machines, the best materials, more staff and innovative checking systems, which lets them go to the limits as closely as possible. So they would go with a gap of, let's say, 0.5 mm to the reg box. So their wing would be 3 mm longer than the wing of the smaller team. Longer chord means more wing area, which, across the span, can make a significant difference. So the team with more resources produces a wing which creates more downforce. The next thing is that the bigger team can even design a wing that is exactly 400 mm long and directly on the reg box, because it gives more performance, and even if it should be declared illegal at the track, they can have another legalized version in the back and quickly change to that one. As F1 engineer, you always check what your competitors are doing in great detail. So, what do you do if you find something illegal on a competitor's car? There's one question you ask yourself. Is that team in front of us or not? If yes, you protest and use the advantage. If no, you keep quiet and use it for future leverage. Because you also don't want to be the team that always complains all the time. What if you find something in the rules that is not exactly clear? Or you have an idea to make the car faster, but it could be argued that it's not in the spirit of the regulations. First of all, you ask yourself, is this area usually checked? And if yes, how exactly? The next question would be, how long would it take for others to find out? And is that time enough to take away a serious advantage? So let's say it would take competitors half a season to find out, and the regulators might punish you for the last 3 races. You still had 6 or 7 races at the beginning of the season where you had the advantage, so it was worth it. To extend the discovery time, it is helpful to have a car that doesn't break down at the other end of the track, and a driver who doesn't crash, because crashes always shows us areas that usually shouldn't be seen. Helpful would also be to design other components of the car or even pit equipment to block the view. And another old trick is to design something obvious and weird somewhere else on the car to catch people's attention, so they miss the really interesting part. Or you even design it in a way that looks like it's doing something else. And if we do bend the rules or even go a step further, what will be the consequences for the team? Because you can either be the bad cheating team or the innovative team that worked around the rules. Anyway, people will talk about your team, which means your car and sponsors will get extra coverage, which makes advertisement on your car more valuable. That leads to higher sponsoring prices and gives you more budget for your team, which in return could buy you better equipment to produce better parts again or pay better drivers. And even for the engineers, it might be good for their career, because if they had a good idea, important people within the F1 circus will know about it. And you might get some offers from other teams and get more leverage to discuss your salary. So legality, especially in F1, is not as straightforward as it might seem. There's a lot to gain, but also a lot to lose. I hope you liked this little insight and see you at the next video.